Hello and welcome back to my channel. Hi guys, so this video, as promised, is about debunking the myths about prison from a female prisoner's perspective. So let's get started. So I know there's a lot of myths about prison, mainly due to the media, a lot of shows like Orange is the New Black, Prison Break, that have given a depiction of what prison is like for the public, but the public doesn't have a lot of insight into what it's like, especially from a female perspective. As you know, or you may not know, the female and the male prisons are completely run differently. So, as you may know, the male prisons tend to be more violent, and also as well they're categorized differently. So I think there's about maybe 6 different categories, because their cases tend to be a bit more complex in terms of risk levels, as opposed to the female prisons. There's only 2 categories, which is open and closed. But as from a female estate perspective, everybody starts in closed anyway, and then you progress your way up onto open. So in the female prisons, you can be with the person that's committed the most heinous crimes, murderers, anything. You could be there for literally a misdemeanor, not paying your council tax or something like that, I'm not going to go into the nature of my offence in this video, perhaps in a following video. But this video is just pertaining to debunking the myths about prison. So, people generally assume, even I did, that you have to wear like a uniform or anything else like that. No, you don't have to wear a uniform. You get to wear your own clothes, but however, it needs to be sent in by your family. Some prisons only allow you to send from certain vendors like Amazon, just because people may use their clothes being sent in as a way to smuggle in drugs, because there is a drug issue in most prisons. Okay, so you don't wear your own clothes. You don't wear a uniform. You don't wear the orange jumpsuit. Maybe they do in America, but in the UK you don't. However, they do have prison issue for people that don't have clothes or don't have clothes sent in, because some of these women, they're homeless, just come from the streets. So they may not have access to clothing, but you get to wear your own clothes. It's funny enough, like we do have like a set rule on the amount of clothes that you can have, so you can't just have like 20 trousers or anything else like that. There's a quota, so you might only be allowed 5 trousers and 2 jumpers or something like that, or 4 jumpers or something like that, or 3 t-shirts, so there is a quota, but there is no uniform per se. Also as well, you get to have your own shoes, wear your own shoes, no heels obviously, because that's a hazard. Being in prison is a risk factor. And the second myth I like to debunk is that the food is all slop. When you watch it on TV, like prison on TV, you see like, especially like cartoons, I think, you see like prisoners being served slop. It's not, I wouldn't say it's the best quality of food, but it is not as bad as you think it is. Like, on a Sunday you get roast chicken or jerk chicken and potato with custard and cake. During the week you might get curry options, macaroni cheese, different types of options. It might not be the standard of what you're used to at home, however, it's not the worst. And obviously the prison has a budget, which is like £2 per prisoner a day. So obviously that it's capped. So a lot of the food, like the meats and things like that, is not the best of quality, or the fish either. It's not the best of quality, and most of the food is cooked by the prisoners actually. Um, Usually, most prisons only hire like one head chef, and then most of the cooking is actually done by the prisoners. Um, yeah. Third thing I want to debunk is, yeah, as I said, for example, in the kitchens, um, most of the food is cooked by the prisoners. Prisoners do work. I think people have this assumption that prisoners just go into prison and they're just locked up most of the time. However, I haven't been to a male estate or the high category estate, so maybe that might be the case. But in general, prisons, you have to work. Like, that is your way of progressing into open conditions, progressing into greater privileges within the prison. And usually, some prisons have rules. If you don't work, you'll be locked up. So you literally have to work. Yeah, and you need an income because, things like snacks, you're not just provided that, you have to buy it. If you smoke or you vape, you've got to buy it. So you need an income. Even if your family's sending you in money, you probably spend, like, the credit situation is very expensive. Credit is very expensive there. So even if your family or friends are sending you in money, you need to supplement your income by working. And the income there is it's not what you obviously will earn outside. It's very capped. So it's let's just say less than £5 a day. So it's the bare minimum, but it helps you to survive whilst you're in there. Okay, the fourth thing I want to debunk is that prisons are militant. I wouldn't say, like I said to you, I can only talk from a female prisoner's perspective. I don't know what it's like in the male state or the high category prisons, but they don't tend to be very militant, mainly because the women, even when they've created or committed heinous crimes, they don't tend to be aggressive or of course, there are anomalies, but they don't tend to be a very high risk. So for you to be militant, it will be very unnecessary. And also as well, you have to remember that a lot of people have experienced a lot of trauma. So I think possibly within their training, there's an element where they are taught not to be militant. So because it will invoke the wrong reaction, because you have to remember that people's freedoms are being taken away. They're not around their family. They probably don't have access to maybe their children, their resources and things like that. So the last thing that you want to add to that element is militancy, because it could add to the possible aggression of the prisoners against staff. So, however, you do get some staff that try to be militant. However, it is not. It's not usually the best approach, because they usually tend to get very negative reactions out of prisoners. Another thing I want to debunk, which I'll say the fifth thing, I can't speak for all estates, is you don't have a phone. Well, you don't have a mobile phone, that's out of the question. But I'm talking about a landline phone. I mean, you can't receive calls in, but you can call out. So, for example, I had a cell phone, not a cell phone but a phone in the cell, not like a mobile phone. And I could call friends and family whenever I wanted to, 24 hours a day, in the middle of the night, as long as I had credit. However, like I said to you, it's very expensive, number one. Number two, you can't receive calls. You can only call out. And thirdly, as well, the numbers have to be approved by the prison. So there are limitations to it. However, you do get that access. to call your friends and family, legal team, etc. Yeah, for now, that is it. I've given you 5 main things that I needed to debunk, myths that I needed to debunk. Yeah, stay tuned for the next video. It's going to be more interesting. I'm going to give you more story times from my time in prison, and I'm going to let you know about my case. So stay tuned.